Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I love this. For those of you who don't know, we do pre-record the programs. So this is actually my first program of 2021. It's not going to air until a little bit later on in the year, but what a great way to kick off the year. I think we're going to have so much fun talking with my guest today and just really giving a lot of tips, a lot of information on how to truly become successful in 2021 and beyond. So please join me in welcoming David Sandercott to our program today. Welcome, David.
Yay. Thanks for having me, Deb.
Great.
Year.
I love it. Well, let me tell folks just a little bit about you, and then we will dive into this. So David Sandercott has been helping people for over 10 years as a coach in business, meditation, mindset, healing, weight loss, and more. David is the expert in helping people find the peace and happiness they seek while creating the business they have always wanted. So again, David, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great. Well, let's just really dive into this. I think one of the things that attracted me most to being able to talk with you was that we'll be talking about things that really can help us in our hearts, in our souls, in our minds. We know the business stuff. We know we should have a Facebook page. We know we should have a website. We talk about marketing, all of those things. But if we're not right in our thinking, in our goals, our internal goals, things like that, we're not really going to get anywhere. And so, what I always ask my guests first, though, is to kind of take a little bit of a step back. Tell us how you got to where you are today and how you discovered that this really is your passion in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. So one day in college, one of my best friends looked at me and said, "Dave, fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life."
Oh,
and it hit me like a ton of bricks,
Mm-hmm.
Deb. He wasn't lying. I was fat, I was drunk, and I was flunking out of community college.
Oh no.
So I took a hard look at my life and I made some big changes. I moved back in with my mother, and this was before it was normal, fashionable, or cool. This is over 20 years ago. And the only thing I really knew how to do, I just knew life was better when I was really fit and in shape, because I did have an athletic background. And so I lost 33 pounds of fat. I gained 7 pounds of muscle. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not stupid anymore now that I'm not drunk all the time.
Right. Like, those brain cells started working again.
Right. I'm like, well, I'm not stupid. It's like, okay, well, now I have to figure out how to be successful. And I said, well, I imagine I can find a book on how to do that. And I was lucky enough to, Think and Grow Rich was like the first book I ever read, the unoriginal, unabridged version. And it told me I could do anything I wanted to do. This is what I took away from it after the first read, that I could do anything I wanted to do if I was willing to believe in myself, make a decision, and meditate. And so I started meditating, and the decision I made was to become the world's shortest high fashion model.
I love it.
And within 3 years of doing that, I was in Vogue magazine alongside supermodel Kate Dillon.
Ooh.
Now I'm 5'3", so I mean, I would go to New York modeling agencies, and they would be like, "Oh my God, look at you!
You could be an elf."
They would laugh at me, But I believed in myself. I believed what the book told me, and I meditated every day, and I visualized it, and I did it. And so, and that took 3 years, but I mean, within a very short period of time of reading that book and implementing the strategies, all kinds of amazing goals were accomplished and amazing things occurred. And it was really, as soon as I read that book, I started coaching people. I mean, I wanted to be a coach. I didn't, 98, I didn't know what a coach was.
Right.
You know, I kind of had the idea of mentors, but you know, I did find out through the years is people aren't all that interested in your unsolicited coaching or opinions and stuff like that. So I went through, you know, several trials and tribulations. I dealt with depression for 15 years on and off. About 10 years ago, I was in a parking lot and I thought I was having a heart attack. It was an anxiety attack. And about 10 years ago, I really hit rock bottom. I was in the fetal position on the couch. I lost a business, moved out of LA to a new place, left the girlfriend who was amazing. And I started over again. And I didn't know anybody. It didn't stop raining. And I mean, I was planning every day on how to end my life, you know, and it was like, I was Googling how not to kill yourself.
Oh, no.
You know? And it was like, so, you know, it just said, just hang on for today. And from like going through AA, you know, that's a principle, just for today, I'm not going to have a drink, or, you know, so it was like, okay, I'm just going to get through today. And I mean, I was in the depths of hell. I mean, there's no doubt. And something came over me. I don't know how I got there, but I got on my knees and I surrendered my life to God. And I just prayed and I just gave up all desire for the material possessions, for the worldly success. And I just said, what do you want me to do? And I started meditating that day for 2 hours a day.
Wow.
And I haven't stopped since, you know. And I had been meditating for 12 years before that, but what led me to the depression was, you know, I ended up breaking my foot real bad in 6 places. I gained 40 pounds again, so I had to lose all those. And I quit meditating. I went asleep. It was like I forgot who I was. And so I started meditating again, and this woke everything up. And that led me to massage school, which I wouldn't have come up with it.
But you went where you were directed.
I went where I was directed. It made sense. It was a way to start building relationships and to form the client, you know, student relationship or whatnot, the teacher-student relationship. And so I did that. I was very, if I do say myself, I was very gifted at it. And so for about 5 years, I really just worked on myself. I meditated and did healing all day. I was in this constant meditative state. It was so blissful and wonderful. And I mean, only 6 months after I started doing massage, someone came in and needed coaching. And then I did a coaching spree and it kind of stopped because I changed offices. And then another client was like, I want you to be my coach. And so it was like the universe was clearly telling me, clear me that it's time to do it. You know, it's time to do it. And so I would say in 2016 is when I sort of got serious about it. And I invested money in it. And so ever since I've been coaching people, like I said, in all different ways, because I mean, when I was in my early 20s, I was a personal trainer. So, you know, so I've helped people in all kinds of different ways throughout the years.
Right.
Coaching.
I love it. You know, and you know, so keep on with the story. This is great.
Okay. Well, I mean, now I find myself, you know, so in 2006, I found a meditation teacher. So I'm kind of jumping around in the timeline here, right? But and I took this course with him, and it was like he had meditation teachers. Like I didn't even know there was a meditation.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'd been meditating for 8 years and I didn't know this. You know, it was a big part of my life. I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. The qualification then was 2 hours a day for 2 years on top of other things to be a teacher in his organization. And at that time, that was a little overwhelming, but I set the intention and I set the goal right then and there, right when I found out that I could do it. And so, you know, part of me getting on my knees after that, what happened was I reconnected with that teacher. And that's what really shifted me. And I knew that I knew what the requirement was. So it made sense that's why I started sitting 2 hours a day. Excuse me. He had a spiritual coaching course. So that was like a lot of people, you know, they worry about training and coaching. It was like, I got to have a 12-week course that before it was finished, I had my first clients, you know? But but that gave me what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, and now I guess I'm just trying to catch you up to speed with where I am. And it's like, I'm fulfilling my dream and living my life purpose. And it's like hindsight's 2020. It's like I look back at all these goals I created 10 years ago before I fell into the depths of hell. And they've all been accomplished. I mean, I don't have the 120-foot yacht, but I didn't really want that anyway. That was the LA. That was LA.
Yeah, and you were telling me before that you're going to move to Idaho, so that's probably pretty hard to have that big yacht there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so I mean, now it's just what I'm so passionate about is helping people fulfill their dreams, fulfill that thing inside of them, that voice that's maybe it wants to speak up. You know, they want to act on that skill or talent that they have to fulfill. And you know, specifically the people that have taken the road less traveled, right? And that society says, well, you don't have a college degree, or you didn't do this, so you can't have this. You know, it's like specifically those people is that voice inside of you. Listen to it. You know, it's like fan those flames of desire. You know, you got to have that fire in your belly, but it will go out if you don't fan them. And so it's all those people out there that, you know, there's a lot of people that work in corporate America that's what they wanted to do, or at least that's what they thought they wanted to do. And now they're, you know, middle-aged and they're kind of miserable. You know, they don't want to do that. And they have ideas, you know, but they need a little bit of encouragement and guidance and whatnot to bring that to completion. Right. So, I mean, that's how I spend my days, you know, coaching and working with people and helping them. And it's like, you could say it was hell getting here. I don't know. I've enjoyed the journey, but whatever it takes, it's worth it. I'll tell you that right now. Right. You know, whatever it takes to fulfill your dreams or to follow that. We all have this innate intelligence in us that's guiding us, right? That's leading us. And when life's not working and when there's friction and turmoil, it's because we're not following the spirit. We're not following what we're supposed to do. Life will be easy, effortless, and enjoyable if we're on the right path. Right.
You know, and as I mentioned at the start, I mean, we're filming this and taping this right after the first of the year. And, you know, I think everybody was like, ooh, 2021. Well, I'm sorry, folks, you know, stuff didn't just miraculously change at midnight. But, you know, it's also one of those things where I think for so many people, 2020 was kind of like this giant pause button, you know, where things obviously changed. You know, no matter what you were doing, things changed. You know, we feel very bad for people who truly lost businesses. You know, obviously for people who were very ill, we feel very bad for them. But for many people, you know, who all of a sudden were working from home, working in totally different type of situations, I think a lot of them went, is this really what I want to be doing? You know, and so have you found that? Have you found that a lot of people, that pause button was the time that they needed to think, you know, maybe I do need to listen to that inner voice?
Well, I can tell you I had the best year of my life financially in my coaching business. So if that's
right. They did. People went, oh my God, David, you have to help me.
Yeah. Absolutely. That occurred. And, you know, this is something that's coming up for me is, you know, again, that book, Think and Grow Rich, was such a big influence on me. And it was like, I mentioned how I broke my foot in 2010 and, you know, it was a motorcycle accident. It was silly. I was putting the motorcycle away and rolled the throttle. And
so it wasn't even a spectacular crash that would have made it on, you know, one of the TV shows or.
No, it might have still though. It was something that was like the stupidest home videos, but anyways, it was intense. I mean, I was able, there was so much force that I knocked a fence post out of the ground with my foot. And that's how, you know, my foot broke. And then I hit a rock and flipped off the bike. And you know, like, you know, the guy, you know, rub some dirt on it mentality of the guy. If you stand up and walk it off, it's like you're not hurt. Right. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna stand up real quick, and you know, boom, fell right back down.
That pain hit.
The foot was clearly broken. But the next thought in my head was, every adversity brings with it the seed of equal or greater opportunity.
Right.
That was literally the first thought. Thank God I programmed my mind to think like that, right? And that is eventually what ended me leading to the depths of hell. But out of that came the most glorious phase of my life, you know? And so when this thing happened, the virus and the 2 weeks to stop the spread, I wasn't having a great year. And it was like, when it happened, it was like, this is it. This is the opportunity. I'm going to come out of this better than I ever was before. And so in April, I taught 26 free classes.
Wow.
I knew. And that really launched the year. And I had more people attending those classes than I ever had before. Not because they were free, but because people all of a sudden are home without that much to do.
Yeah. We had no commute time. I mean, that right there is just amazing.
Right. And so I got to connect with so many people that, yes, they were looking for solutions to their problems. And as well as, there's nothing more important than you could possibly have right now than your mental and emotional health.
Right.
Having mastery over those things, because regardless of what happens, you don't have to be stressed out, angry.
Right.
You can be perfectly at peace all the time, no matter what. And, you know, the world out there is just, it's going to do what it's going to do, you know? And so I don't want to start mumbling right now, but does that make sense?
It does, you know, and I think what's tragic, you know, is we've kind of had the both sides. We've had the people who thought this is a great opportunity. You know, I'm either going to recommit to my job, to my spouse, to my whatever, you know, I've got all this time. Or we have unfortunately had so many people who went down those dark roads. You know, we're chatting before the program about missing being with people. I mean, you know, we're social people. You know, when I have friends who are introverts to the max tell me that they're struggling. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like, oh my gosh. You know, and you know, when we have people who are inventing ways to hug through shower curtains, I mean, yeah, you know, it's just, you know, and so, you know, it's easy to get in those deep, dark holes. I mean, you know, you mentioned those months that you spent just, you know, and just curled up and something ends up having to, you know, it goes one way or the other. I mean, it either doesn't get better or we get a kick in the, you know what, and things happen. And so, you know, that's what I want to talk about is how do we get kicked in a, you know what, you know, how do we go forward into 2021 and become kind of unstuck? Because I think for many of us, you know, we might have, when we had all this downtime, we might have just coasted. Yeah, okay. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. So when everything's all better, I'll get back to doing what I did. Well, that's not the way to do it. But, you know, but now is the time for us to really become unstoppable. So let's talk about that. I really want to delve into, you know, how do we get unstuck and become unstoppable?
Yeah. Well, one thing that my teacher used to say is your habits become your destiny.
Okay.
So I think this is the most important thing. First, we have to have a goal, right?
Right.
What's a leader? You know, if you're not leading your life, then, but what's a leader? A leader is someone with a destination.
Right.
So you have to know where you're going. So, so the first step is obviously to have a goal that's exciting and inspiring, that you're going to work to. Then it's like, so, you know, so I have the Sandercott method is sort of my coaching program, right? And there's 5 pillars. So it's like, we got to have the big goal. And then the other thing is the path is one of the pillars. So it's like the path that you're walking is gotten you to exactly where you are right now. And if you want to get somewhere else, you got to start walking on a different path. Right. So it's those identity, it's those habits. So breaking down what I call them is your 5 habits of success. And it could be 4, it could be 6, but you know, it's just 5 seems to be like a good number. So it's like, you've got your goal, right? What's your goal? And then what are the things that you need to do every day to get to that goal? You know, if you're to reverse engineer it. So if you're dealing with like business and numbers, it's like, if I want to make $120,000 this year and I enrolled, you know, 10 clients $10,000 a client, I have to roll at least one $10,000 client a month. To do that, to enroll that one client, I have to have 10 sales calls. To do those 10 sales calls, I have to have 30 pre-sales calls.
Right.
So I'm just reverse engineering. And then what are the habits I do to get to those pre-sales calls, right? Well, messaging people on Facebook, running Facebook ads, being on X amount of podcasts, you know, and you just break it down into those simple things. Now that's for business. Now we're not just about business, right? We have a business professional life. We have ideally a spiritual life, and a personal life. And so it's like how you really become unstoppable is, you know, the spiritual warrior is what I call it, the fifth pillar, but it's mastering your mindset, your emotions, and your daily actions. It's having mastery over these things. You know, discipline equals freedom. The ultimate discipline equals unlimited freedom. And some people they think it's like restrictive, or you know, they get in this thing.
Right. What do you mean I have to put something on a calendar?
Yeah. Well, you do whatever you want, but again, what you've done has gotten you to where you're at. If you want to go to another place, there's a roadmap to get you there. I'm not like making it up. I mean, there's proven results throughout the decades, centuries. Right. So it's really mastering those your mindset, your emotions, and your daily actions to make sure that you get to where you want to go. So then it's like, what is your personal goal? Well, my personal goal is buying a house this year in Northern Idaho. And so what do I do? You know, well, I mean, I had to get pre-approved. I got pre-approved for a loan yesterday. I gotta look at houses. I gotta get a realtor. I have to do all these things that a person buying a house would do, right? So what most people want that I work with, you know, I say, it's funny. People say like, well, business coaches, this or that. I'm like, hey, all of my clients make more money than I do. You know, pretty much all of them, you know, and it doesn't mean that I don't help them create. I do. I absolutely do. But we do it through, it's an inside job. You know, we start by working on the inside, because let's say your goal is to increase your revenue, to double your revenue for the year, and to be more happy, peaceful, and filled with joy than you ever have been before. Well, even if you come shy of that goal and you're happier, more peaceful, and more filled with joy than ever before, you're not going to really be that upset. And really, everything that we're after is love. It's like we want to win $1 billion in the lottery because we want to feel loved, be loved, and have love in our life. It all comes down to love. And that's how that's really how we become unstoppable. Lucille Ball said, you know, you can't get anything done in this life until you love yourself. And that was my first process in my early 20s. You know, if I was drinking excessively, I wasn't just college.
There was a reason why you were doing that.
That's right. That's right. And you know, and after Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, I got, somebody told me about the library. I was like, oh, I never even thought of that. And I got a cassette tape of Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And I probably listened to that thing 300 times. And it was like, one of her things is, I accept myself. I approve of myself. I accept myself. I approve of myself. And then it started with like looking in front of the mirror and saying, I love you. I love you. I love you. And those things sound like cheesy and stuff, but if you've done it,
those positive affirmations are huge.
And it's more about a positive. It is the positive affirmation, but it's looking in the mirror and saying you love yourself and recognizing that you are worthy, and that, you know, because that's what so many people struggle with. Ironically, the people that are the best at what they do and have success often tend to be a little bit more insecure, and it's kind of the yahoos and idiots that have this sense of certainty. You know, I don't know why it's like that, but it's something that I've observed.
Right.
And found in myself.
And those inner voices, you know, it's always so interesting, because most of those inner voices are negative. You know, they're things that started when we were little kids. No, you can't do that. No, you'll hurt yourself. No, you're not smart enough to do that. No, only girls do that. No, only boys do that. All of these various things. And the people who were telling us those things, for the most part, weren't doing it to be horrible to us. They were trying to protect us, right? No, don't touch that. That's hot. Don't think that you mentioned earlier, people who don't have degrees. No, you can't do that because you're not smart enough. So let's just, let's readjust, because we don't want you to get hurt when you're, all of those various things. And so those stupid little voices continue all through life. And I mean, like, you mentioned being a male model. I mean, there were probably people who said, I'm sorry, you are not tall enough. And the cool thing was, you look, whether it was an inner voice, whether it was somebody telling you that, you were like, nope.
Yeah.
I think the hard part is, we get those inner voices stuck in our head and they just play on a loop, So
let's talk about this, because you just brought up a great point, right? And the people that say this or that, they said it because they loved us, and they said it because that's what they were told.
Yes.
Right? It's a program, right? It's like, we want to think of our brain as the hardware of a computer. It's like any software that it's given. Okay.
Right.
So
yeah, they probably experienced it, so they didn't want it to go on, things like that.
So it's like part of the human condition. Like, if we go unconscious or we're not mindful, then the software, the computer, it just plays the software that the program that was last played or the program that is most played. And unfortunately, those are negative most of the time. Right. So that's why we have to, that's why meditation, contemplation, healing, forgiving are so important, because if you remember early in the program how I mentioned how these two things happened, and the programs that went in my head weren't negative. They were positive. They thought, because I consciously put that program in there, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, this is one of the keys to becoming unstoppable, right? And the 5 habits is the spiritual aspect of it, because affirmations alone are not enough.
Right.
They're very helpful, and the more you mix it with emotion, the better that they work. But at least for me, I needed something that had more power. Now, I'm just going to say power is synonymous with love. Okay. Power isn't like a bad thing. Force, if I use the word force, that would be like, Like, power is love. Power doesn't need energy. It's of its own source. So you need to get around someone or some group that has a lot of power. So I'm going to give you a quick example of what I mean by that. It's like AA, right? AA, alcoholics were hopeless. It was hopeless. To medical science, hopeless. The guy who was founded AA with Bill W., he was a helpless alcoholic. This or that. I mean, Carl Jung said, I can't help you, but there's this group that I heard, and it's AA. Now, why do people go to AA, and why does it help? Well, because its energy field is that of unconditional love. It's like, and if you think like, Bob misses 4 meetings, drives his car through a liquor store, beats up his wife, and steals $1,000. And they say, well, we're glad you're back, Bob. There's no judgment. It's it's the energy field of unconditional love, and it was the only way they got me stopped drinking and smoking pot, and I couldn't explain it. It took years later to figure out. And then if you stop going, people often drink again.
Because they needed that support.
You need the field of energy, because your life is simply a reflection of that which you are. Right. You can't have any other life experience other than what you are. And you and 2 other people, we could go watch a movie, and we could all have 4 vastly different opinions on that movie, or any experience, right? Because we experience life at the level of consciousness that we are. So we're here on a deeper level spiritually to evolve our consciousness. And that's why we're here. That's why we're in this human form, is to evolve our consciousness individually and as a collective consciousness in society. And the way that we most help society is by evolving ourselves, is by healing ourselves.
Right. Becoming that better version.
That's right. That's right. Because then your energy field emanates out and it helps negate the negative energy field. So I always say selfishness with a capital S is self-love.
Right.
Right. It's self-love. With a small s, well, then that's different, right?
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Well, and you have to look at why you were doing it. I mean, and back to thinking about AA, if you're going because somebody told you had to, a spouse, whoever, if you're just going because somebody told you to, it's probably not going to work. It might. I mean, there might be
still
something there.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
that's right. Still does sometimes.
Yeah, there are times where your brain goes, okay, this really is where I want to be. But if you're not 100% behind it, supporting it, bought into it, it's probably not going to be successful. And it's that way with anything in life. If you're thinking, hey, I've got this great business, but I can always do that if this doesn't work out. Okay, then you're not bought into it. Look at the divorce rate. Look at the number of businesses that fail. I mean, half of all businesses fail. And I think a lot of that is because, there's obviously many, many reasons, but, I think so many times it's because people go into it halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way, maybe, but they're not 100% into it.
Deb, you're such an excellent host. I really appreciate you. So you're absolutely right, and you're guiding and leading me perfectly. So it's like, again, it's about that decision, right? It wasn't like make a half, it wasn't saying think and go rich. We're going to use this whole book. It's burn your bridges behind you, right? It's burn your bridge, leave yourself no way of retreat. And so it's like, I didn't say I'm going to make a good try
right
becoming the world's, I said I am going to become the world's shortest high fashion model. This is what I'm going to do,
right?
And it's like, it's kind of, I don't know if I could get in the Guinness Book of World Records as that, but I feel accomplished of it,
right?
It was like I did what I set out to do. And I ended my modeling career with a $9,000 day rate.
Whoa.
I worked a 6-hour job and I got paid $9,000.
Holy schmoly.
At 5'3", and all the guys there were like blue, real models. When I said, So okay, so back to the decision, right? So it's like, so how do we form these habits? And at first, it has to start with a decision. That's the very thing. The decision to go all in.
Right.
You have to engage your willpower. Now, your willpower is not going to carry you through it, but it'll get you started. It's like I got a little lazy. I've always been an early riser. But I don't know what happened to me throughout this pandemic. I did slack a little bit in that, and so I just said, well, I'm just going to start getting up at 5:30. That's not as early as I like to give up, but and this week I haven't it was just a decision. So when I wake up now, it's like, all right, it's the day. I get out of bed. Now we'll see what happens a month from now, but it's you have to first trick yourself and use it, and to build the momentum, you have to get around power, someone more powerful than you, whether that's a mentor, a coach, a spiritual group. I mean, you don't necessarily have to pay money. There's free, AA is free, and there's all kinds of 12-step groups.
Right.
Course in Miracles is a free thing. But that being said, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is pay somebody. Something happens.
You make a different commitment when it has cost you money.
That's right. You're all in. And often what I find with my clients is that when they make that payment, things change right away. Things start changing right away for them. So it's like there's plenty of free options out there. But if you're looking and you can afford to take a course or hire a coach or join some sort of spiritual group that has a financial commitment, I strongly encourage people to do that. So we're still kind of on your habits become your destiny, right?
Right.
And so it's just, let me just give you some that I think that are really good habits, and everyone's going to have their own, but some are the same. It's like meditation, daily meditation and contemplation. Excuse me. So you don't have to sit 2 hours a day just because that's what I said I do. 20 minutes, fine. 20 minutes is a great start. Contemplation. It's like the ego is we want to be the experiencer. We want to experience the experiencer, right? We're always looking for experiences, always averting being bored. But what we want to do is be the observer. I always do this because this is where I try and watch my life from. I observe the experiencer. That's how I stay conscious. So it's like I can catch uncomfortable feelings when they come up. So there's nothing you have to do. No one you have to become. There's only feelings to feel. And it's like humans will do anything to avoid feeling feelings, like drink so much they pee their bed 3 nights a week. That's what I was doing. But anything, overwork, overeat, over sex, you know, we'll do all shopping is a big one, you know, and it's like, but if we remain the observer and we stay conscious of it, we can just, it's just a feeling. All our fears are fears of feelings, right? Right. And so just staying conscious of your feelings. So, I mean, this is the ultimate habit right here, the meditation, contemplation, and staying conscious, because then it's only when you go unconscious do those negative programs run. Or you let them get out of control. If you're staying conscious, you can catch it and be like, oh, silly mind, we don't think thoughts like that, you know? And you reprogram it. Right. So meditation, contemplation, and prayer. We can kind of put those in one. And then, and then the second is journaling. Now, journaling maybe isn't for everybody, but I've really found it to be a common denominator of success. And at the very least, a weekly review. Okay. Of what well and what didn't go well. For me personally, and a lot of my clients, journaling really helps. And what I simply journal is, what am I creating? So I'm reinforcing my goals. I'm reinforcing what I'm creating. I'm writing the story of my life, because you're the actor, the star, the producer, and the director of the movie of your own life. So I'm just constantly writing the experiences I want to have and the script that I want to live. And that's when I do affirmations every day. You know, I read my goal out loud every day. And then the third is I say daily exercise. I think moving is really important. Right. You know, the only reason why I wanted to model, Deb, is because I liked working out. I wanted to be an athlete. You know, that was why I think that. Now I'm not like that anymore. I'm 10, 15 pounds overweight, but I exercise every day. I break a sweat every day. Right? And it might just be a walk. You know? But you move. You want to move every day. And then, you know, the last two I leave more open-ended, but you know, for me, it's tracking and measuring my my income and outcome. I find it, and then the other one is like learn something new every day. You know, reading, positive input equals positive output. You can play with those. But I want to just put anything important to you should be tracked and measured. If you want to become unstoppable, tracking and measuring is when I was young, do I need to go on about that, tracking and measuring?
Well, actually, so like one of the things I was thinking was, you know, kind of maybe doing a combination. So, you know, I'm not someone who journals. You know, I was the person who, when I was a little kid, you know, you always got, especially girls, you got a diary for Christmas from grandma. Sure. And I was real good for maybe the first week. And then by January 15th, it was got up, went to bed, and then, didn't do any more. But so I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe you're not into journaling, but you said, I want to learn something new every day. So maybe you journal about the new thing that you learned. And so that kind of, it gets you into doing that. And then maybe it grows and you start doing something more, but you're measuring that, did I learn something new every day?
So asking the question.
Right. Yeah. That's right. And so that kind of helps you keep track of those things.
Yeah. And so I don't want to make this into a journal training, but that's what everybody says. Well, I don't know what to write. Well, it's like, start with answering the question, what am I creating? Right. But I have other questions. It's like, it's more of a contemplative exercise. Like, what did I learn today? Is there anybody I need to forgive? Is there any resentments I'm hanging on to? Right. It's a contemplative exercise. why am I angry?
Right.
Why am I upset?
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of moving on. So the habits become our destiny. So we really want to establish what these habits are that we need to do. You know, and, the other one was, I said, learn something new every day. But that's because I switch some, but income producing activities. That's on my list. Is like you always have to be doing something, be moving your business forward, no matter where you are in your business. Income producing activities. That's the lifeblood of your business. And if you're a newer entrepreneur and you're starting out, because I tend to work with a lot, I work with both, but I tend to work with a lot of newer entrepreneurs and even newer coaches. And it's like they do everything but the income producing activities.
Right.
It's like you're not making offers, you're never going to make money. It's like your vision board, you're blue in the face. So it's income producing activities are often a very, very important thing for business. That's what I would have on that list.
Right.
Even above that. The other things. So, okay. So now the other thing was, I'm not exactly, it was shift your identity. That's what it is in my program. It's like, if you want to have something different, first you have to become someone different, right? So I'm quoting Dorothea Brand right now, who was a woman who wrote the book, Wake Up and Live, that was published in 1934. So just think about that for a minute. That's a woman in the midst of the Great Depression writing a book telling people how to live. That in itself should be inspiring. But you know, if you want to have something different in life, you have to become someone different. You're never going to outperform your self-image.
Right.
Like, I can't say that enough. If I would just say it to you every day. You know, and people. It's not something that I can explain linear, but I'm going to try. It's how do you see yourself? You know, if you see yourself making $1 million, you're never going to make $1 million.
Right.
If you can't see yourself with abs first, you're not going to get the abs. I mean, that's how I've lost a significant amount of weight twice in my life. I mean, gone from, like, I could have won a contest, you know, of fat to fit. And it's only because I was able to see it in here. Right. Because what you hold in mind tends to manifest, right? That's how I got the, you know, even though I didn't visualize myself in Vogue, I visualized myself, and it was more of a feeling than a vision of me being the world's shortest high fashion model. You know, it's okay. So, is there anything that I'm not clear about?
No, good. Keep going.
About becoming clear. And then there's this third step is the focused action. And look, I'm probably doing this because this is probably my weakest one. I mean, I can be really good at it. It's okay. So it's like Eat That Frog, right? That's Brian Tracy's book. I don't you know, and it's like, so if you've got a frog or two to eat that day, what's the best thing to do? Well, eat the frog first thing in the morning, right?
Right. Get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way. And this is the way that the most successful, productive people in the world operate. And it's like, just, you can be done working by 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
You just have to get these high value activities done, and it's best to do them first. Now, there are a few people that they function really well at like midnight to 3 in the morning. Fine. If that's when you, but a lot of people are best first thing in the morning. So it's like doing those most important tasks, and the laser focus is you sit down and you do it until it's done. And so, like in meditation, what I teach people is third eye meditation, or it's just this is your homing beacon. So you come, so like if you like the average YouTube meditation, they'll be, okay, close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and clear your mind. Okay, well, that's why you can't meditate, because you're trying to clear your mind, and you can't possibly stop mental effort with more mental effort. It's a ignoramus type of teaching, or someone who doesn't know what they're doing. You know, it's never mind your mind doesn't mind. But when you find your mind wandering, you just bring your attention back to your homing beacon. You just bring it back to the third eye. You can stare at a flower, you can stare at a flame, it can be your heart chakra. This is what it's most talked about in traditional spiritual teachings, is the third eye. It's not like something I made up. All the teachers, it is referenced. You know, even Jesus, you know, which doesn't particularly talk a lot about meditation, but he said, when thy eye is single, you will see the light, something like that. I don't have it. So it's like you just keep bringing your attention back to this third eye. So I wrote a book, the 21-day meditation journey, connect with spirit every day in a new way. And I mean, I have like a 5th grade writing level. I mean, it turns out this is good for writing books nowadays, but
Right. Yeah.
but it's not, I'm not good at grammar, at anything. And it was like, I had to like, what I tell my students in meditation is, in a 15-minute meditation, you might have to look back at your third eye 1,000 times. Well, that's what I felt like writing the book. I mean, my mind wanted to stop writing the book almost every second. And you just have to stay laser focused on what you're doing. You know, the task is, you know, what I would do is I'd set the alarm for 50 minutes and I just wouldn't get up. I'd write for 50 minutes and I might do another round. I might not. And I would do that first thing in the morning.
Right.
But the point is the laser focus is to sit down, stay focused on something single pointedly until it's done. And that's really what meditation is too, is the pre-meditation is concentration. That's really what I teach, is concentration. Meditation is, well, we don't need to get into the esoteric sort of, it's a confusing subject, but the 8 limbs of yoga, concentration is looking at the third eye, which brings you into meditation. And okay, how am I doing right now?
Well, good. You know, especially because I'm one of those people that I have so much trouble focusing. I mean, you know, anything and everything can sidetrack me. You know, I might be working, I might be doing, you know, typey, and I hear a noise outside. Oh, must go see what that noise outside is. And of course, you know, I need to learn, you know, okay, noise outside, unless, I mean, you know, it's really something you need to be paying attention to. Okay, you don't need to pay, you know, and I'm the ultimate squirrel. Yeah, there it goes. You know, and I shared before we started that, you know, meditation for me, I mean, to stop my mind from going 900 miles an hour basically needs anesthesia. You know? And so that's the laser focus for me really is probably one of the hardest things that, and it's funny because I was, you know, right before we started this, I was on a different Zoom call with a bunch of people and they said, what is your Wadi? And we all went, your Wadi. And she said, it's WOTY. And we all still went, what is your word of the year? Now, mind you, I did this 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
My word of the year is focus. So, oh my gosh, isn't this just like fate? But yeah, and I am finding that as I do things, you know, and I can, and part of it is because I forget to do things. Okay, so instead of going down that path of, you know, okay, write it down, so then I can come back later to it. You know, so just some back to it's back to the habits. You know, what is my habit? My habit is to get distracted. Okay, so then my habit should be write it down so I can do it later and keep my focus.
Yeah, habit could be right. We look out for that word should. Habit could.
Yeah, because should is kind of judgmental, right?
Right. That's right. You know, a better way to be doing it would be, and that's absolutely right. And that's what I was going to bring in. Your habits become your destiny. So it's like we want to form good habits and become a slave to our habits. Like if it's in the book, if it's in the, you know, your planner or whatever, that's what you're doing. You got to be flexible on your plans. But you know. And that's right. It's just a habit. Your habit has been, squirrel. Right. And when you want your habit to be focused. And I like that Wadi. I get my clients to kind of, my students to do I call it like the theme, but my word is discipline for the year.
Right.
I've always been a highly disciplined person. And this year I see how much I've fallen off a little bit.
Yeah, we use 2020 as an excuse for a lot of stuff. And you know, and it's like, you know what? No, we need to stop that. You know, because it was just a year. Yeah. You know what? It was what we made it.
That's right. So I mean, we can tie all of these together. It was saying that ultimately it's nothing ever external. Your internal world creates your external world. If you're saying the reason why you didn't accomplish your goals this year because it's 2020, no, that's not. It's not true. You know, your goal didn't say, "Oh, I made $100,000 because there wasn't a plague." Or whatever.
Right. We didn't write that down in January.
Yeah, no, it had nothing to do with that. So, I mean, it's always about bringing it back inside, back into how you're feeling. Your internal creates external. Your energy, like attracts like. It's like my mom, I love her to death, and she is like, these things are happening, and she's not she lived in a off the grid for 10 years and then came back to the city and was not tech and didn't use email anyways, right? And so now her whole world is it's just it's almost like she doesn't understand it, so she thinks people are trying to get her or and like all these things are happening, and I go, Mom, you're creating these things. What are you talking about? She gets all mad at me.
Right.
It's like I try to explain to her. I go, the biggest lesson that you taught me in life was that I have to take responsibility for myself, for my actions, and my circumstances. Well, it's the same thing. It appears like the other people are causing you grief, but that's not true.
Right. It's how you deal with it.
It's how you deal with it, and you're clearly not following the guidance to some degree.
Right.
You're resisting the change, or you're resisting something. So it's like those are the, that's how you know that you're off guard when things weren't working. And like that's all I wanted to do was my life to work and to be stress free.
Right.
I don't know, when if you're a young person and people tell you it gets better when it gets older, and you might not believe them, I promise they're not lying. It's, you figure out how to do this life thing,
right?
Or you don't, but but there certainly is a way to do it where it's pleasurable and enjoyable and somewhat effortless,
right? Yeah, and I think one of the worst habits that people fall into, do whatever, is having that negative, that negative energy, the negative people, the toxic people, all of those things, and even if it's just in little dribs and drabs. I mean, I have people who tell me I'm Pollyanna. I'm, and they don't necessarily mean it in a good way. But I'm like, okay, fine. I'd rather be happy. Now, am I realistic? Hopefully, yes. But, when we let that negative in, as it's interesting, as we're doing this is January 7th. And yesterday was not a good day for the country. Lots of things happened yesterday, and I live here in Atlanta. So it's, as I told somebody, I said, it's the land of the never ending elections too. And so, I mean, there's just all this stuff that's churning up. And for the most part, I know that's out there. But so I'm not ignoring it, but I don't let it into my life. Last night, I screwed up. I started watching the news, and I kept watching the news. I'd go off to something else, and then I'd come back. Ooh, what's going on? And I woke up this morning grumpy, cranky, pissy. Now, part of it was I didn't sleep well. I mean, because I was up late watching all of this hoorah. But I also thought about it. I thought, nah. It was because I let all that negative in. Now, is it horrible that happened? Yes. Should it have happened? No. But because I let it kind of affect me, and more importantly, I let it affect me right before I went to sleep. And so, it's like, no, I know that's there. I might touch base, watch the news a little bit, but it's you mentioned selfish with a capital S. I think we have to be, we have to be selfish and say, it's not that doesn't affect us, because, things like that do. But at the same point, I have to protect myself. So I'm not going to watch the news. I'm not going to talk with my friends about this on Facebook, all of those various things. So, what if that means I'm a Pollyanna? Fine. I'll go through life as a Pollyanna. And it's interesting. You mentioned somewhere warrior. I don't know, for those of you who are just listening to this, I'm holding my arm up to the camera. I have a tattoo that says warrior. And I got that because of things that I have gone through. And, I mean, you have to, you're responsible for yourself. And, whatever happens,
no one's coming to save you.
Yeah. I saw something on Facebook the other day, and it's funny because it caught my attention because it was talking about warrior, and it said the warrior does what needs to be done and isn't waiting for the white knight with the sword.
Oh, I love it. That's right.
Yeah, now the white knight might be handsome and that'd be fun, but I still need to do it myself.
Absolutely. And to sort of, just to put a kind of a last thing in it, I encourage people to try not having an opinion. Mm-hmm. Good and bad are unworkable social imperatives. What it's our opinion of it, like it's our thought, the way we think of it that makes it. It's just something that happened as a result of the collective consciousness of humanity. It's not good or bad.
Right.
And even saying something shouldn't happen, that's that's going against reality. Anything that happened because it needed to happen, or it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
It was the destiny of those people to do that. Now, they could have chose not to do that. I'm not that, right? We choose moment to moment. But whatever happens because it needed to happen. And God, some people, maybe I shouldn't use God because I'm not talking about.
It's all right. It's there's
the divine spirit, whatever it is, something greater than yourself is got the world covered. Just focus on you, on becoming the best you can be, spreading the most love you can spread, and letting go of the things you need to let go of so you can heal and become your best self.
Right. I love it. So much fun. I love this. And oh my gosh, see, this is why I set the timer, because we are almost at the top of the hour and we could just keep going forever. And so basically all that means is we need you to be a guest again, because we'll have so much fun talking about this. But until then, how do people find you? How do they connect with you?
Thanks for asking. Well, so I have the Profits from Passion playbook. 10 disruptive habits you need to break if you want to create a life you love and a business you've always wanted. And so you can get that by going to profitswithdavid.info. That's profitswithdavid.info.
Okay.
If you're interested in meditation, you can get an ebook. You can get my book on Amazon, but you can also get it. You can get a free ebook of it that comes with 21 guided meditations at meditatewithdavid.com. That's meditatewithdavid.com. And I don't have my link forward yet, but my Facebook group is a great group. It's right now you can find it. You can find me on Facebook just by my name, or meditation and motivation.
Perfect. I love it. And I had told you, before we started, I said I really wanted to talk about meditation because clearly, that's so we didn't. So I need to get your book and just really start looking at that, because more than anything, I think it's calming our minds, especially with all of this that's going on in the world. And let's be honest, we were talking before that, COVID will go away and the next big thing will come up. And it's all about how we deal with that. Are we going to hide in our little bat caves and go, oh, woe is me? Or are we going to go, all right, and go on. And I think part of that is in calming your mind and thinking about all of this.
Yeah, well, maybe we could go back and do a meditation episode, because it's like fear. That's one of the things is that, okay, so you're gonna get COVID. Well, then what?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna get sick. Well, then what? Then I might die. Well,
right.
So.
Yeah. I mean that would not be good, but
again, good or bad is like an imperative. The person who dies is in a better, it's the people they leave behind that suffer.
Right.
Not
Right. Yeah, when you're gone, it's like, whatever you believe, whether you're moving to heaven, whether you're becoming a spiritual entity, whether it just stops. I mean,
suffering is ended.
Yeah. So I love it. I think that'd be great to talk about that some more, because I think that is something that a lot of people, it's the old computer language. If, what, then, and so, okay, well, if this happens, then what happens? And how much of that do you control? And of course, that's the tricky thing, is we all want to be in control. And, in many cases, it ain't up to us.
It's never up to you.
Right.
That's right. There's never illusion of control. I mean, that's a real common business exercise. What you just said. So okay, you start a business and quit your job. Well, then I might not make any money. I might lose my house. Well, then what? Well, then I'm homeless. Well, then what? Well, then I might die. Again, it all leads to
Right.
So if we can overcome that fear of death, we can live fearlessly.
Right. Yeah. So how are you between now and then? That's the important part, and if it's 10 minutes, if it's 10 years, if it's 30 years, what is happening in that in between time? And that's what's important.
You got it.
Great. I love it. Well, tell us one more time, David, how people find and connect with you online.
Yeah, it'd be great. Facebook's my main platform that I use. You can just look me up, David Sandercott. If you want the Passion for Profits playbook, it's profitswithdavid.info. And if you want the meditation book, it's meditatewithdavid.com.
Perfect. I love it. And can't wait to chat again because I think this really is something that is, I mean, to me at least, is very interesting. So I think we'll have a great time talking about this again. But until then, I'm Deb Creer. I've been having a fascinating discussion with David Sandercott. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.